Yep, 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 yep.
Yes, it's the Finnish football show. And we're back. We've recovered from our recent city break down in Helsinki to watch the Huuhkajat. And the whole Finnish football show team is back together virtually again this time. Joined by Keke Muri. Hi, Keke.
Hey.
By Rich Nelson. Hi, Rich.
Hey.
And Mark Hayden. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
And to start with today, we're going to discuss this evening's draw for the 2022-23 Nations League competition and where that pits the Finnish national team in League B?
B3.
We'll come to that. And we're also going to break down the recently announced changes to the Suomen Cup for 2022, as well as welcoming back the Prodigal Cup as the closed season Liigacup competition makes a welcome return. Welcome for me, anyway. And we're also going to look at bits and pieces of recent news and just give you a little trailer for our Facebook Live Christmas show next Monday, the 20th of December. If you're listening to this after that date, then check your podcast feed because we're going to take whatever content we get from that and put it out as podcasts as well. So I reckon there's the whistle, and maybe we can crack on with the Nations League League B, Group 3. And then this evening we had a few pots thrown in there as well. It was quite confusing to follow, but I watched it live. Did you all get to watch the draw as it happened?
Yeah, it took about an hour and a half just to get there, and then I turned off as soon as they finished Finland's group. Typical UEFA. I mean, this week obviously they've been in the press for their competition draws, and the Champions League draw this week was an absolute farce. And I was fully expecting Finland to be drawn against Real Madrid or Man United in this. But yeah, it's just typical UEFA. It's just another excuse for them to give out some pony awards while stuffing some brown envelopes behind them. But it's UEFA draw, isn't it? It's difficult. I mean, with the way that things are seeded and the pots and everything, we know roughly, Finland will get one from this pot, one from this pot. And of course, as is now becoming the tradition, Finland drew a group with Bosnia-Herzegovina and also Romania and Montenegro. Now, Romania and Montenegro, a nice change. I think they played Romania in the previous or the first Nations League, I think it was, or maybe a Euro 2020 qualifier, I think it was.
No, I think
Euro 2016 or they played them in a qualifier maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I can't remember them playing Montenegro. Certainly not recently.
We've never played them before.
But yeah, Bosnia, I think it's the third out of 4 draws now. So they played them in qualifying for Euro 2020, 2022 World Cup, and now again in the Nations League. So it's some familiar faces. Although by then, the Bosnia really did, I won't use a swear word, but befouled the bed towards the end of the group stage for that. So it'll be interesting to see where Bosnia are. The tournament kicks off in June with 4 matches in 11 days, and then the other 2 later on. But yeah, I mean, we kind of jested beforehand about who we'd like, and no one wanted Bosnia at all. Just not, we don't hate Bosnia. We're just sick of the sight of them.
Yeah, I really didn't want Ukraine, probably even a little bit more. And Sweden would have been nice. Iceland would have been great because they're stinking the place up at the moment. That's the plum top seed to have got. But what do you think, Mark? What do you think of Finland's chances in this group?
I like them. I mean, Bosnia are sick of the sight of us. They absolutely didn't want us. They I don't know. They look at us like the team that they should be smashing every time we play, and they just pull their hair out whenever we turn up because basically we're organized. Plus, Bosnia, next summer won't have Dzeko. I don't know what the future of Pjanic is because he went out on the lash for their last group game when they were already out of it. So he's persona non grata in their squad. So that's good. Montenegro, they got promoted up from League C after romping against I think Cyprus, Azerbaijan, and Luxembourg or somebody like this. So I mean, they're not a particularly great team. Romania is bloody tricky. On paper they don't look good, although they have got Pushkas and Hadji. So, so, so they're not bad. But I was taking a look at them and the stats. We've never beaten them. We've played them 12 times. We've never beaten them. And I think the last time we played them, we got beat. It was in 2000. It was a friendly in 2018. Can you guess who played up front for us last time we played them?
Ruperiski.
Nope.
Sort
Scrab and Sadiq.
Oh,
Wow.
and things change.
Haven't they just? Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bit of a scratch. I think there was a tournament, must have been a tournament on or coming up at the same time when we weren't involved, but it was a scratch side from us. But yeah, I think they're ranked about 10 places ahead of us, and I think they're in the 40s. They're in the top 50 anyway in the rankings. So, but I don't think they're that special. I think we can beat them. We should be able to.
Yeah, I must say I was quite positive about Nations League when the idea first came around, and I was really pleased to see it, not in Finland's group or even in Finland's league, but in League C, to see Luxembourg and the Faroe Islands have been promoted. And of course, when you've got those 7 sort of weakest teams, 2 of them have to go up. So, all right, 2 of them are going to go up. But still, seeing Luxembourg winning games, seeing Faroe Islands winning games, it warms the cockles of your soul.
It's fun that we loved the competition. It gave Finland that momentum to qualify for Euro 2020, and already it's become, oh God, we're playing the same teams again. I think there was, we always thought, okay, well, you're playing teams of a similar-ish level. And I think in hindsight, it was probably a good thing Finland didn't win the group last time, because they'd be getting pumped 4 or 5-0 each game. But, they're playing teams again. You're in this kind of situation now where you're playing teams that you know quite well in some cases, and you're not really learning an awful lot. And I think we may well be in a case where we were in the World Cup group where you've got teams of a similar-ish level, and it's going to be decided on sort of those who draws the most games, or sort of the most small of goal differences. So,
okay, don't you think that the point though is that you're playing these games competitively? So rather than having meaningless friendlies, you've got something that you've really got to go for.
Exactly that. I mean, we've spoke about that since the Nations League was started, and I think you're exactly right. I mean, from a purely selfish point of view, I didn't really fancy Bosnia, because we've seen them a couple of times recently already, and I've been there already. So I was just looking for, whether international travel ever does come back, who knows? But yeah, it's from a selfish point of view, I was looking for some new destinations. But yeah, Romania and that, and Montenegro, never been there before. So they're places that we can visit. But from a footballing point of view, I think the boys have hit the nail on the head. Bosnia are a team that, I mean, as Mark said, they would look at us and think, right, we need to beat these. But we've been going, especially the last game that we played there in Zenica, we just went there and absolutely smashed them. So they're in their little transition period, and we need to take full advantage of that. And I do think you're right. The fact that these games are competitive means that they're much more meaningful, much more worthwhile than a dodgy friendly somewhere. So yeah, all for it, mate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like the fact that in this group we've got a decent shot. We were what, a Jere Uronen red card away from potentially winning the group and going up into the A pot. I think the A pot would have been very difficult for us this time, but I think we should. I mean, if we've got the chance to get there once, that's football's top table. Yes. I mean, I'm not saying we have to stay there and we have to make a living out of getting an absolute hiding every week. We don't need to be the new Iceland, but just one sort of competition at that A League level. See how we fare. That'd be pretty good.
Well, it grows the profile another step, doesn't it, Mark? Do you know what I mean? If we can take this Nations League campaign seriously, we can get some results and get promoted to that A League and start, being pitched against, as you say, the Europe's top table. It grows the profile of the sport in Finland again, and it ignites the interest. And yeah, they'll if we manage to get up there, there'll certainly be some glamour ties. So we look forward to that.
Doesn't have the wallet either.
Yeah, well, it's now 21 years since Finland has played England. That'd be nice.
Well, you say that, Rich. Although the group, the promoted team in England's group, this draw was Hungary, and they got England, Germany, and Italy. I mean, I think we're settled for League B for this time round, and see if we can't build a little bit of momentum. Blimey, O'Reilly, that's something. And the interesting thing there is that England were the third ranked team in their group, and I hadn't really paid attention to it recently, but when I looked at the group, they finished third with 10 points, and the second place team was on 10 points, so it was like a goal difference thing, and makes a big difference to have Germany and Italy, or to be the second place seed and maybe have someone a little bit easier below you. So yeah, we'd like the glory. We'd like to. It'd be great to see Finland play England, but
Wales got Poland, Holland, and Belgium.
It's not much easier, is it?
That's a tough group.
Are there any? So in the A League, are there any? What's the easiest group?
Czech Republic, Switzerland, Portugal, Spain.
Really?
Exactly.
Easy.
That's probably the easiest.
Oh, and what's the other one?
So the other one's Austria, Croatia, Denmark, France.
There's not many points going begging there in any of those groups, are they? Jeez.
Yeah.
Let's let this transition in the Huuhkajat take place over the next couple of years, and then we'll have another go. Yes, Rich.
Well, bear in mind, I mean, again, we're looking slightly further ahead as well, is that there's still going to be Euro 2024 playoff spaces up for grabs. Last time round, Finland didn't need it because they qualified automatically, but there will be at least, I think, 3 or 4 spaces from the playoffs up for grabs. So if Finland do get, and we won't know because those qualifiers don't start till 2023, but at least if Finland do win this group or place well, and then it's nice to have that. It's got to get out of jail free card in your back pocket.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have that. It drops certain teams get then dropped into the playoffs, don't they? So that's what's going to happen for the World Cup next year. You've got these 3 pathways, so basically 3 lots of semi-finals and 3 finals to get the final 3 teams going to the World Cup. So yeah. Now then, these games are being played. They're being played quite a compact period, really, aren't they? There's 4 games in a 12-day kind of international fortnight at the beginning of June. So from the 2nd of June to the 14th of June, there are 4 match days, and then in the September, but within 5 days in September, there's another 2 games, and that's it. That's the group's done. So they're all over within a few months. And then
do we basically need to just move to the Balkans for a few weeks?
Well, yeah, possibly. Although that wouldn't be bad, would it? Fortnight in the Balkans and see who comes along.
In June.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's true. A fortnight in early June in sort of Bosnia and Montenegro, and popping over to Romania. No, they're not. We're not going to get 3 away games in the summertime, are we?
It's a fair drive. That if you're going from Montenegro to Romania, that's pretty.
Well, I wasn't thinking of driving. I was hoping for a plane. To be honest,
road trip, man.
Yeah, yeah. From Finland as well. I'll pick you up, Seinäjoki, Porvoo, and then on down to the.
We'll meet you in an expensive bar over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, And this is the only thing with the format of the Nations League that I don't like, is that then from September you have this almost like 9-month break until the semi-finals and the finals, and they take place in the middle of June 2023. But splitting hairs a little bit. It's I'm looking forward to June.
That's just for League A, so Finland won't be worried about that. But you mean the semi-finals? Yes, of course. Yeah, that's the top 4 teams. Then they do the playoffs. Might take even longer depending on I think then, because in 2023 you've got the Euro qualifiers, so then the playoffs for that will come from this Nations League. So potentially you're looking at well over a year.
Okay, so here's a question. Here's a question that Satu asked earlier. Why haven't they? Why do they call it relegation playouts rather than playoffs? That's a UEFA thing. And secondly, why do we have the draw now for the Nations League before those two playout games? For example, Estonia and Cyprus or whatever, before they've been played. Any ideas?
I think it's just to kind of get it in the diary, get the fixtures done, and then they can look forward. And because those games aren't being played until the end of March.
Yeah, why?
I think that's the next international window.
Oh, I see. Okay,
yeah.
all right.
So those games are being played at the end of March, and then at least so once those games are played, those teams involved, Kazakhstan and teams like that, they know where they'll be playing, whereas everyone else can kind of look forward.
Yeah,
inverted commas. But the fixtures are out for this round. I think they're out Friday as we're recording, so we'll know soon.
Yeah. I think in case anybody was in doubt, obviously UEFA don't care about the smaller countries. If you ever needed proof, it's this.
Yeah. You mean making them wait 3 more months before they know where they're going to be? Yeah, no, that's
everybody
true.
else goes now, and then you guys wait 3 months and we'll sort you out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I've put the I've put a little in the show notes. I've put a little kind of breakdown of when all the match days are. But once we have the confirmed fixtures, I'm sure Rich will be tweeting those out because that's what he does.
And also Bucharest to Bar in Montenegro. It's only 14 hours in a drive.
Through Serbia, is that the route we're going?
Yes,
straight through. Disputed land. Disputed land. That should go quick.
Oh, geez.
Hey, listen, Finns will drive from Helsinki to Lapland for a long weekend, and that's a good 12 to 14 hours. So we can do it. I will share the driving. All right, let's draw a line under that. Now, I reckon we've done about 15 minutes on the Nations League draw, and let's throw forward a little bit to the Suomen Cup next year. Now, we and I think especially Rich has been quite critical of all the chopping and changing to the Suomen Cup and the way that the cup has been diminished over recent years. In the show notes, I put a link to an article on Suomi Footis. And I've also sort of borrowed some of their explanations. Me, Google Translate and Suomi Footis have put together a bit of a breakdown for you. But Rich, can you give your sort of introduction?
So I think it was 2017 they changed the Suomen Cup, the Finnish FA Cup, to change it into group stages based on Veikkausliiga, and then there's a Kakkonen Cup that basically removed any open draw elements to it. That the numbers had been diminishing hugely over the previous 7 or 8 years. It gone from 400 plus. I think at the last one it was less than 90, and they went to these stages where it essentially absorbed what was the Liigacup and became almost a pre-season tournament in theory until you get to the knockout rounds, and then it was kind of so geared towards the big clubs that the little teams didn't bother. Really, there wasn't a lot of avenue for them to enter, and it was such a closed shop. It was like the Champions League, really, and I think again people didn't care. There was a lack
in
of
so
interest.
many ways it was like the Champions League.
Except the teams involved. And last year it was a bit. I mean, you had a Cups Hoiko final, which wasn't a great game, but Cups won, which is the main thing. And we're at the stage when the interest in it was minuscule. I mean, it wasn't. This isn't the English FA Cup where people watch it all around the world anyway. But even by Finnish football standards, no one cared. So they had a bit of a panel, a focus group set up, and some sort of prominent people in the Finnish football community and within Palloliitto got together and decided to rip it up, start again, and basically they've gone back to exactly how it was. So it's an open draw. I think at the last count, 172 clubs have entered,
which is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost double what the last open draw tournament had. It's going to be virtually open. I think there's the initial rounds, they'll be regionalised. The bigger clubs won't enter till later, but that's normal for a domestic cup. And really, it's got some excitement around those smaller clubs again. It's given them the chance that, if you win a couple of games, normally the small team or the team in the lower division gets home advantage. So, I mean, there's the opportunity for a team from Kakkonen or Kolmonen even to get a big Veikkausliiga or a big Ukkonen side at home, and potentially for them, it would be their biggest home game in years. So, we know by the end it will be the same teams involved, but it just makes it really interesting just to have that little bit of chance involved again. Just
for those that are listening, by all means, dig into the blog post that comes with this, and you'll see some of the stuff that I'm about to say. But if you can't be bothered and you want me to say it to you, which is me when I'm listening to podcasts, I don't want people to tell me to go and look at this, because I'm normally walking the dog and it's -15. I don't want to take my gloves off. So I understand where you're coming from. The first 4 rounds are regional, and the clubs from the third division down in the first 2 rounds of those. And as Rich said, the home team is always the lower ranked of the two. For the third round, 6 teams from the Veikkausliiga, all of the Ukkonen clubs and Kakkonen clubs will join the draw. And in the third round, there'll be 128 clubs taking part. And still the lower level clubs will be the home team. Fourth round, there's 2 more Veikkausliiga teams joining, and still this home benefit rule. And then the 5th round, it's almost like you drop in so in the 5th round, the clubs that are playing in Europe will come in. It's almost like dropping them in at the semi-final stage, isn't it? Like four clubs that are in Europe have played the semi-finals. The rest of it leads up to there. But then, you have the 6th round, and then the quarterfinals at the end of June, semi-finals at the end of August, and the final in the middle of September. So, there's a little summary. And again, thanks to Suomi Footis for explaining that, and thanks to Google for helping me translate it quickly.
I mean, one thing they have made legit, which they forced in, they kind of shoehorned in last year, I think it was one of the more obscure rules, but they've made it apparent now, is that if 2 teams from the same club are drawn, they will force them to play each other. That they can remove, so that they don't want to get to the final and have Hoikor against Hoikor's junior side in the final. So essentially, because we had it last year, definitely with Asikor and almost said it, Hoikor have played, their 3rd and 4th teams played at one point. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. Their 3rd and 4th teams were drawn together. They had a joint huddle at the start of the game. And it was just so weird. And I think the 3rd team won about 4-0. But it's so essentially, to remove that, they're going to force teams from the same club to play each other to get rid of one of them, which is amusing, because you get that. It's quite common in Europe. It doesn't happen in England, obviously, but in Europe, was it one year? I think Real Madrid played their B team in the Spanish Cup final. Yeah.
It'd just be great to see the B team knock out the A team, and the squabbles that you'd get there in the club would be hilarious. I think that summarises the Suomen Cup quite nicely. We're going to talk about Liigacup in a minute, but how about if we take our halftime break? Thank you, Ref. And first of all, let me mention a little bit about our merchandise, and let's do this. Let's do this little share. There we go. Can you see the shop there?
Oh, it's on. Yes. Everything's on offer.
Yeah, that's what I just noticed. So I thought it was worth mentioning. Exactly. So
everything must go.
This is the Finnish Football Show shop on tpublic.com. It's the same designs that we've had on there all year. But the reason really for mentioning this now, yes, they're on sale, but basically in the last week that these t-shirts are going to be available, because I've knocked up some new designs that we will be launching next Monday in the live show. So I'm not quite sure what I did there. I clicked on something. No, let's go back.
Badges also available.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we will preview the new designs on Monday. as we've said before, the pricing is completely controlled by TeePublic, and whatever price you buy at, a little cut of that goes to the running costs of the Finnish football show, and the design is, I think, dramatically different for next year. I've put a cheeky little 2022 in there as well. So now these things are limited to the year. We'll run it for a season and then we'll change it for next year. And I've already had an idea for 2023 as well. So once those creative juices get flowing, I can't turn them off. So through TeePublic, there will be t-shirts, there will be phone cases, some bags, and some pin badges. And then, Rich, I think you have got something for the next range coming up with cups as well, or mugs.
Yeah, so it's at the moment I've got one of our original designs is available as a mug, but once these new ones go live, I'll do what I can to make mugs out of them the way I make mugs out of everyone else. So it's yes,
very good. You've been practicing that one.
I haven't actually.
and also buymeacoffee.com/FFS podcast if you want to make a donation and get your name read out in the show, which I'm sure that's why Farid keeps donating money, because he likes to hear us saying his name, and so we'll do it again now just for the fun of it. Thanks to everyone else that's donated through the last year as well. We appreciate it. It makes a difference. And if you want to just donate to us directly, then via the website, there's a link in the blog post where you can support the Finnish Football Show cause. And if you want to, thanks for that. Mark, it's still half time. We've got time for our Jasilla Sipuli, our Finnish football phrase, and the phrase this week is
pausa.
And what is pausa?
I think it's almost directly translated from the Swedish like pause, like or stop, and what it means is like it's a keep ball. So yeah, me olemme pausassa. It's when you sit back and hold the ball and knock it about and wait for the other team to come out and press and then try to knock it in behind on the break.
Very good. Okay. Pausa. What we really need is a list, maybe even a t-shirt with all of these Sipulis listed. Who's going to go back through all the previous 20 odd shows and get our little dictionary together? Okay, do you fancy that, Joe?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
All right, then. Good stuff. All right, let's crack on with the second half. And I mentioned it just before that the Liigacup is returning. Who else has had a little dig into what this means? Anyone got anything to say?
Well, I reckon. I mean, it's just at the start of the season last year, we had the sort of mangled version of the Suomen Cup, littered with sort of friendlies, pre-season friendlies between the Veikkausliiga clubs. And what you end up noticing is that for all intents and purposes, it just ends up being the same teams playing each other as you would get in the Liigacup. So you may as well stick a sort of tin pot at the end of it and make it a bit competitive, a little bit like the Nations League. Because I mean, I think Huuhkajat played. I watched them in Tallihalli. I think they played like Lahti and Huuhkajat a couple of times, and just the same kind of teams from in and around the local area. So I think it makes sense for it to come back and to stick a tin pot at the end of it, because I don't know, it's a good way to get fans in. Prices are always cheap. Everybody's warming up the sausages, and it's also a good place where you get to see sort of like trial players come in and new players moving around. So I'm really glad to see it back. I think it's a good development.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it always feels a bit strange watching football indoors anyway, and these arenas or these bubble domes that they play these games in, they're not great for spectators. You're either literally standing on the sideline or you're up on a little balcony behind a net. But there is something of a pre-season sort of vibe to it. So like you say, having the Liigacup as a pre-season cup just for the Veikkausliiga teams, why not? You're right. It's competitive football as part of the warming up for the Veikkausliiga season. I thought it completely diminished the Suomen Cup to play like that during the close season, because the teams are half baked. And I think, but having this back and having Suomen Cup back to its sort of former state is a positive thing. And just a little bit for the listener about the structure of this. Again, there's a link to the Veikkausliiga website here, but it features all 12 Veikkausliiga teams in 3 groups of 4. Each team in the group plays each other once. The top 2 from each group qualify, as well as 2 of the 2 best third place teams go through to the quarterfinals. So basically 8 teams out of 12 qualify, having everyone played 3 games against each other, and then you go to semis and a final. And this is all to be played out, I think, in February and March. So it's over during those couple of months of closed season, should we say. And the groups are kind of, well, geographical. They are geographical. So you've got in Group A, HJK, Inter, HIFK, and Mariehamn. In Group B, you've got Ilves, Lahti, Haka, and Honka. And in Group C, yes, it's geographical, but it starts to get a bit spread out as you get further north. You've got Cups in Kuopio, Seinäjoki, Oulu, and Vaasa. Right? There's a bit of travelling to be done there. But I have to say, as a Seinäjoki supporter, it's good to have Cups back in the division. It's good to have some local rivalry. I'd be quite happy if we could have Vaasa and Kokkola and Jaro all back, all in the Veikkausliiga at the same time, so we can have some nice local away days rather than this Oulu and Kuopio business. But that's just me being a selfish football fan.
We've also got with the Liigacup, the Ukrainian Cup has come back. I think it's the first time they've played it in about 20 years.
Okay.
It's pretty much an identical format, but with the 12 clubs from the Ukrainian division. And again, the groups are regional-ish, and and also because this week ROPS, formerly Veikkausliiga medalists, they relinquished their place in the second division, or sort of second tier, and they've been replaced by Peppo from Lapinranta. So
that's a good point to sort of move on a little bit from Liigacup, Rich. But I'll add a link about Ukrainian Cup in the blog post. But I think ROPS is a bit of a sad story, really. So let's move on to some recent news, things that have happened lately that we can mention for people.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess ROPS is probably one of the bigger stories. And they lost the promotion playoff to Veikkausliiga to Oulu last month, and I think last week they announced that they wouldn't be applying for a license to play the Ukrainian division because of the costs involved. I think they lost a lot of money from COVID. One of their big income generators is the bingo house, Bingo Talo, in Rovaniemi, that they're also trying to sell, which says a lot about how perilous things are there, that they're trying to sell their main generator of income. And it looks like they'll be applying to play in the Kakkonen division, but a lot of their players have left already. They've basically said to the first team squad, you're free to leave. One's already rocked up at Asiko, as we joked about. But
Kiitos.
I mean, it's a shame because, as up until recently, they were in the Veikkausliiga. They came third, I think, 2015 or 16, and they were in the Europa League, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. So for that to happen, they got relegated. They tried to come back up with a very young squad and did really well, but kind of ran out of steam. So it's hard to see where this is going to go. It's happened in the past with clubs. They've essentially reformed. The holding company has virtually gone out of business. Someone else has come in and started the club again. But it's hard to know how that will work for ROPS. And fingers crossed it's not the end of them, because I mean, I've read an article this week tracing it all the way back to the match fixing issue that they had in 2011, I think was the last round of it, and that they never really recovered from there financially anyway. So it's a shame, and they've been replaced in the division, and who knows what will happen next, because I think once clubs start sinking down, it's a long way back up.
I mean, it's nice to see Peppo come up and play in Ykkönen, but as you say, Rich, it's I mean, I know they're far away. They're a million miles from anyone else. But a town the size of Rovaniemi really deserves to have a team who are at least in the second tier of the game in Finland. Really, don't they? You know what I mean? It is a bit sad, and yeah, hopefully they can sort themselves out.
Any other news that's caught people's eye lately? Rich, you seem to be on all the mailing lists and press release lists. What have you seen lately?
Well, it's not been confirmed yet, but it seems that Urho Nissila, favourite of mine, his contract at Cups ended at the end of the season, and it seems as though he's going to be signing for FC Suwon in the K League in Korea, which, as a competition, I believe is quite strong, and he's going to be at least doubling, if not more, his salary. But that's a strange one. Having recently broken into the Finland squad and performed pretty well in the games that he's featured. And I guess the only issue would be that he's not gone to another European club, because he's done it already. He went to Belgium, Varagem, I think it was, didn't really work. He came back to Cups. He's 26 now, so he's not young. There's not that kind of potential. But to go to Korea, I mean, it's a massive step up in terms of the quality of the football in the league. But it's also a very big jump culturally and everything else. So.
That also might be part of the appeal, mightn't it? Like if it is, a bit a better salary, different culture for a couple of years, and a better quality of football, why not?
I mean, we when we talked to Joni Kauko about his move to India, a slightly different circumstances. He's further down the line in his career.
Not so sure the standard is as high out there either.
Well, exactly, yeah. So, at least then he said that he was told that it wouldn't necessarily harm his Finland prospects, although of course
it hasn't helped.
And I do wonder if Nissila has, that same kind of position and confidence to ask Rive if it's going to affect his position in the Finland squad. And he's younger, he offers different things to Kauko, but that's a decision he's had to make, and you'd hope at some point he's had some reassurance that it's not going to affect his international career.
Apart from
he's got to have had that conversation. Do you know what I mean? Especially breaking through, and he's not like he's been a bit part player. He's come into the squad and he's impressed every time he's been on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? He's been fantastic. So he's got to have had that conversation. Do you know what I mean? To just disregard that avenue and just think, well, I'm off to Korea. It's however far away on a flight to come back for internationals and all that. He's got to have taken some reassurance, surely.
Yeah, and also, like, if he's going to play football in a stronger league, it should make him a better player. So that should still make him interesting to Rive for the national team.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I'm not so worried about his selection. I think he'll get it. There's two sort of concerns, which is that it's a long way. We lost. Remember when Ring moved out to the States and basically decided he didn't want to do the commute back and sort of stayed out there. I thought that was a big blow to us, and I wouldn't want something like that to happen to us again. But I think the other thing that I'm mainly worried about is that, a little bit like Oni Valakari in Cyprus, who watches that league? I mean, like, what's your next step up as a big club? Because I mean, in that part of the world, even the Chinese Super League is sort of imploding at the minute. So there's not big money and a big move there. The Japanese league is I would say probably the best quality league that's out, in that part of the world. But you're not going to find Premier League scouts or Bundesliga scouts that doing the rounds down in those kind of leagues. So that's the main thing that I'm worried about, which is career wise, where's this next step and where's the one after that. But I hope he goes there and fills his boots. I really do.
There are a few Korean players in the Premier League now. Then they're not completely off the radar, and whether they're coming directly from Korea or from other European clubs that have found them, but that suggests there is a process for players from there being discovered and coming back to sort of bigger clubs in Northern Europe. And I think also like when the Chinese Super League came and they were throwing money, hosing money at players, and there were some players that went there quite young, and you thought, are they like just going for the money so early? What's he gonna do for their careers? And actually, some players went there for a couple of years and came back and still moved on to bigger clubs back in Europe. So I didn't realize he was so old, but was 26. I thought he was a bit younger. So
yeah, I mean the K League is a lot more established than the Chinese Super League. I think it's probably second in the region to Japan in terms of the kind of overall quality from what I've heard from world football stuff. But it's it's definitely a step up, and I think it's a lot more secure in terms of going to, rather than going to China and it blowing up in a couple of years. But yeah, it's an interesting, it's a very left field choice. I wonder what else was offered to him. It's a similar situation, albeit he's slightly older than Niskanen when he left Cups and went to Germany and rotted for 18 months before finding his feet again in Scotland. So it's interesting, but again, this is where we are now. We're living in a global world, apparently. And talking of Ring, there's rumours that Leo Väisänen might be moving to Austin FC, which is where Ring is at the moment. So if that goes through, again, whether it's a step up or not, I don't know. But it's definitely, he's played really well since he's sort of had a good run. So, Keke.
Yeah, I mean, Allsvenskan published their like team of the play. I think it was like the players who have played most minutes across the season. And Leo Väisänen was in there at centre back. He's had a lot of football recently for Elfsborg and had a really decent season. And just on that as well, recently was the Allsvenskan sort of players gala where they vote for their players of the season, etc. And it's voted for by the coaches of the clubs and also the fans. And Karl-Johan Sacco Eriksson was voted as goalkeeper of the season for his second half of the season heroics, that great run of clean sheets that saw his side secure their top division status. So congratulations to him. That, again, Rasmus Schuller had a good year there as well, didn't he, in Sweden? So it's nice to see the Finns doing well. And yes, I will say nice things about Rasmus Schuller. Yeah, spoiler alert.
Fantastic.
He's the best.
Quality player.
Yeah. So watch this space. We might be sneaking a little chat with Rade soon.
And back when we were talking about these transfers, Rich, you shared with us recently this the link to the article on Veikkausliiga.com, which is the transfer news, and it's regularly updated. So I've just put a link to that back in the show notes, and we'll refer back to that in future shows as well as news is breaking.
Yeah, I don't have any more players gone from Helsinki to ASICO since we last spoke.
Well, since we last spoke, loads have gone. Well, since we last recorded something,
well,
they certainly have.
has gone there now as well, hasn't he? So.
Yeah,
is it 3 players and the coach? Oh.
Yeah.
Woody, Radetsky, Uusitalo.
Yeah. Just on the news, HIFK have been celebrating the fact that they've been granted their license this season. That came out today. So. Is it new owners there? So the new owners are celebrating the fact that they've been granted their license. So as I said, I've said it on previous shows, I was really impressed with HIFK last season, and I just hope that they can that these new owners and whoever goes in there can continue the good work that was started by Joaquim Gomez.
Yeah, I like him. Actually, I've got a bit of weird random news, something that I'd missed at the end of last season. Hannu Patranen, who was the Huuhkajat centre-back, he's retired. He didn't get much game time because of injury last time, but I think he's about 34. He played 6 times for Finland. He played for Helsingborg in the Allsvenskan, won the Svenska Cupen twice, played in Norway, in Sundal, in the Eliteserien, and then he played and won the league at Huuhkajat, and then he's been at Huuhkajat for 2-3 years. But he struggled with injury. But as I think we gave a bit of a shout out to Furu when he retired from Inter at the end of the season. So also the same thing for Hannu Patranen, who was a hell of a good player, hell of a good centre back, across the Nordic leagues.
Very good. I wonder if that's maybe time to draw a veil over things. I'm aware of the time, and I'm aware that there's an important Premier League game that one of the Finnish football show team needs to dash off and watch with his neighbours. So, Mark, good luck. Liverpool versus Newcastle. It's gonna sting.
From behind the sofa.
Yes, it always stings from behind the sofa.
That's what she said.
And before we completely wrap up, I just wanted to mention the live show that we've got coming up. So we had this episode scheduled, and then we thought, what can we do for Christmas? And we thought, what about a live show where we do something here on Zoom? So it will be kind of recorded here on Zoom, and everything will be streamed from here. But then we'll broadcast it live on Facebook. We've got a Facebook event. We've got the Facebook page, and we've got the Facebook group. And I'm going to put a link to that live stream in all of those places. So get on there onto Facebook and find either the group or the page or the event. Follow it, and then you'll get notifications when we go live. But dear listener, we don't just want you to watch, we want you to take part. So we will be sharing the login details for the Zoom chat, and we want you to come on and talk to us. We want you don't have to prepare much, it's no homework, but just come and tell us where you're from and where you live, whether it's in Finland or not. We want to know a little bit like, what's your connection to Finland? Why do you care about Finnish football? And what Finnish team do you follow? That's all. That should be enough to break the ice and get a conversation going. And then if you want, you can ask us a question, either individually or as a group or whatever you want. But just, we're putting a bit of responsibility on you, listener, to provide a bit of content. We've done 36 shows this year, out of a total of 104 in the last 6 years. So we've been busy, and I said it in the little trailer on the Facebook page earlier this week. If we've got interesting content, that's because you've brought interesting content. If we have a boring show, that's because you lot didn't pull your weight. So I'm going to leave it there. But it'd be great. It'd be great to have a chat with some of you. We met some of you when we were in Helsinki. It'd be good if some of you guys can come on and talk with us. Or if you've never interacted with us before, but you think now might be the chance. You don't want to hear us prattling on for another hour about all the stuff we've already talked about. So come on and steer the show how you want. But I reckon that's probably it. We didn't organise a following for this week, so maybe we should say follow the Finnish Football Show on Facebook and find that event on Monday the 20th. It'll be going out at 9 p.m. Finnish time, 7 p.m. UK time. Listener, you can work out.
An hour early, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry, it was. Oh, yeah, you're right. It was 8 o'clock, we decided. 8 o'clock Finnish time. And I better check that I set up the stream for the right time as well. Anyway, all right, there you go. Brilliant. Thanks, Rich. You're right, though. 8 o'clock Finnish time, 6 p.m. UK time. And until then, Rich, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Okay. Hello.
Making sure you're listening.
Okay. See you Monday.
Kiitos.
And Mark, good luck with the football.
Thanks, man. Hedo.
Until the next episode, thanks for listening to the Finnish Football Show. Bye-bye.